Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are actually talking about AI suicide drones because, well, quite frankly, we are moving more and more towards Skynet. This is absolutely terrifying. And interestingly enough, this was not the video and podcast I was planning on doing today. I actually had another member of Ukraine's parliament lined up for an interview, but unfortunately he had to evacuate earlier today and was not able to make our appointment. So obviously, I'm hoping that he and his family are safe, obviously, as they are in the middle of a war zone. Hopefully, he will be safe and alive and able to sit for an interview, and I will bring that to you hopefully sooner than later. As you know, I've been talking with various members of Ukraine's government leadership, so here we are. But today we are talking about something I just think is terrifying, and I think it really underscores what technological kinetic warfare is going to look like from now on. Now, this is coming from the Daily Star, but there are other sources on this, including Wired and some others, but I thought they had the most easy write-up, and here's what's going on. A quote-unquote suicide drone that uses AI or artificial intelligence to recognize targets and destroy them without being controlled by a human operator have reportedly been spotted being used in the theater of conflict in Ukraine. Now, Ukraine's Internal Affairs Minister Anton Gerashenko, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, posted a video of the KUB-BLA device to a channel on Telegram. That's how they are coordinating a lot of this information in and out of country. Now, this 6-foot drone is made by a company called Zala, Z-A-L-A, Aero, which is a subsidiary of the well-known Russian arms manufacturer Kalashnikov. Mikhail Kalashnikov, obviously the creator of the AK-47. So, after being fired from a portable rocket launcher, here's basically how it works. The Cub, KUB-BLA, can essentially hover over a target area for up to half an hour, flying at speeds up to about 80 miles per hour, which I believe is around 160 kilometers per hour or so. And once it has recognized a suitable target, it will deliberately dive and crash into it, detonating a 7-pound high explosive payload. Now, the images shared by Mr. Gerashenko appear to show a drone that has been damaged or shot down, but is yet to be officially verified. That's essentially what we are talking about here. Now, at a demonstration of the deadly drone, basically in 2019, Zala claimed that it featured, quote, intelligent detection and recognition of objects by class and type in real time. So this is not new technology in the sense that it's been around for at least roughly 3 years or so. Noting the effectiveness of Ukraine's portable anti-aircraft missiles, military expert Sam Bennett said that killer drones are, quote, an extraordinarily cheap alternative to flying manned missions, meaning those Stinger missiles and other types of weaponry that the Ukrainian defense forces are receiving from the Americans, the Germans, and a whole bunch of others have been incredibly effective at shooting down helicopters, planes, and other things. Drones are much harder to hit. Their heat signatures are obviously much different. He also said, and I quote, they are very effective both militarily and, of course, psychologically. In the same way, snipers have been a very effective military asset since essentially guns were a thing and became accurate. It's very demoralizing to see those generals killed, as the Russia's learning as they've lost 5 generals. So there you go. Now, another report basically by the UN published last year concluded that a similar drone may have been used to quote unquote hunt down ground troops in the Libyan civil war. Russian leader Vladimir Putin has called for a ban on such weapons in the past, but here we are. Now, many experts fear that handing over the final decision about life and death to an AI could have terrifying decisions. Quote, or consequences, I should say. Quote, giving machines the power to decide who lives and dies on the battlefield would take technology too far. That is according to Steve Goose, the Arms Division Director at Human Rights Watch. And he's absolutely right. There is no remorse, no emotion in a robot. And so by virtue of that, you know what? Maybe a child is a good target. Maybe an elderly couple trying to escape is a good target. If it's not being essentially that systematic and it's saying this looks optimally like a thing where I can do mass damage, it's not going to take those things into consideration. There you go. Now, also, according to Zachary Kallenborn, who's a research affiliate with the National Consortium for the Study of Terrorism and Responses to Terrorism, warrants the deployment of these kinds of drones in a war zone is a significant development in warfare. And I quote, the notion of a killer robot where you have artificial intelligence fused with weapons, that technology is here and it's being used. And that is a terrifying prospect. When we start taking essentially decisions out of the hands of humans, what we end up with are relentless killing machines. And part of that is the psychology of that. Now, you can look at manned drones or unmanned aerial drones that are essentially controlled by human pilots on the ground. The United States has been using these in the Middle East and many different places, and you can see the psychological impact that it has on the pilot on the ground. Even though that individual is not flying that drone, they know they're pushing a button that are killing lives. That, I think, is one of those stopgap measures that we have in war. War should be humanizing. And if it's not, if we're using artificial intelligence, we are asking for a massive amount of death and destruction at the hands of artificial intelligence. That possibly affects maybe the creator of the AI, but possibly nobody else. And I think that's something that we really have to consider. War is hell. If you've seen or heard any of my interviews with Inna Suvsin or Solomia Bobrovska, both of them members of parliament of Ukraine, as well as have other leadership positions in that government, they are going through quite a terrifying time right now, and that is something I think that we have to recognize. It's something that humanizes us. It's the reason why we are looking at these pictures and seeing these I literally just watched a video of a child being pulled out of rubble earlier today, and it is heartbreaking. But AI doesn't care. And that's something that I think we really, really have to understand, because we are walking a very dangerous line. And the part of this problem is escalation, because if others say, well, if the Russians can do it and do it effectively, and it's helping them turn the tide of a war, that's technology I want. That's technology that saves my troops at the expense of the death and destruction of others. Obviously, I'm an advocate for peace. Most of us are. But adding technology at this level into a war zone is a recipe for trouble. Forget the Terminator points aside, because if these things ever turn on us, God forbid too, this is just dehumanizing. And it's a huge problem, because war is dehumanizing in general, but that's also what helps stop war. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please stay private. Thanks, everyone.